Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah. So Thanksgiving was good though, huh?
Yeah, Thanksgiving's always good.
Yeah.
Load up on
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
plates, get the sweet potato pie.
Ah, damn. My mom made the sweet potato pie.
She did. You know what I'm saying? You missed out.
I did. I did. I did. I did. I did. I said, you know what? Damn. It's all right. Y'all be down here for Christmas though, so it's cool. We'll as long as mom makes banana pudding, all is forgiven.
Well,
You know, which is crazy. I
just
don't
leave
want
me
to.
some Nilla wafers on the
I was
side.
I was gonna
Come
say
on.
I don't want to derail the pod already before we get started, but that's something every single year I forget that you don't like banana pudding, and I'm always like, who
I
is this
don't.
fucking guy?
I don't like pudding. I don't like bananas. It's two things
You
I
don't
don't
like
like, and you
bananas?
mix them together. No. When you think, I want you to think. When you ever see me eat a banana?
I was just thinking that I haven't. Damn, that's wild. So, yo, bro, you missing out, bro. You're really missing out on banana pudding. You're
Nah,
wilding.
nah. I'm big on consistency. And like, if the texture ain't right, I can't. I can't get with it.
Okay, more for me. I don't give a shit. More for me.
And
All
more for
right.
you. I just get an extra box of Nilla wafers and eat them. I don't care.
Anyway, guys, welcome back to the New Block Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Chris, aka Prince, with Cardell here, and we're talking all things Gen V season one. Um, Cardell, I gotta be honest with you. When they announced that they were coming out with this show, my initial thought was kind of just like, of course, like the boys is super successful. Of course, they want to do like a little, spin-off series.
Ditto.
Because I feel like Hollywood is like conditioned us to just assume the worst in these kinds of situations. And I remember when Deron watched it, he watched the first episode and he texted me and he was like, "Yo, I can't do this." And I was like, and just so you guys know, Deron's a veteran and he's worked in some pretty, I'll just say pretty nasty jobs in his life. And so for him to text me and be like, "I can't do this, it's too much." It really made me nervous to even watch it because I was just like, if he can't handle it, God knows what Deron has seen in his life. I'm just like, I don't know about this, but I initial thoughts. I am so glad I watched this because this is what a spinoff should be. This is peak spinoff performance for me. Whether it's like superhero stuff or any other kind of like franchise, Gen V, like it, this spin-off series of The Boys is better than most main franchise TV shows. Like the writing I felt like was so good, and it was not until the end did they tie it back into The Boys. Like this could have been a standalone thing all on its own, and that's where I feel like a lot of spin-offs mess up is they do the spin-off because it's like, oh, we know that you like this franchise, so let's just give you more of this with different characters. And Gen V is so much more than that. But I want to get your initial thoughts before we get into like details.
Yeah. So very similar in a lot of ways, right? Where I first heard about it and I was like, oh, the boys is doing very successful. Amazon's trying to carve out more of their streaming uh, money grab. Like I was not planning on checking the show out when I first heard about it. Duran sent us all a text in the group chat like, yo, y'all go ahead and watch the first episode of Gen V and get back to me. I had it on the back burner for a little bit, but once I got around to it, I was like, yo, this show is nuts.
It's
Like,
nuts.
if for any of the viewers who have watched The Boys before, which is this is kind of a spinoff of that universe. Um, if you've seen The Boys, you kind of know what level of let me say intensity to expect.
That's a word.
You definitely get all of that. You get the kind of crude humor that you would expect from the boys universe. The writing's really good, and as you said, it kind of fleshes out its own universe to
Mm,
where it could be, with the exception of like the last 30 minutes of the last episode, you don't really need a tie-in to the boys at large. I
Right.
mean, granted, you've got little tiny cameos with like um the deep on like promotional vids for the school and shit like that, but
But I feel like
you
that's
don't.
just there as just like a reminder of just like, hey, we're in the same universe kind of a situation.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, he's an alumni.
Yeah.
Like it's not like the huge tie-in that you see at least later on in the show, um, but it stands so strong on its own as just this force. And I was excited to watch the entire season,
Yeah.
and
No,
really hoping that they do a second one too.
yeah, I am really hoping that they do a second one. I can't imagine why they wouldn't, especially given where we left off. And just FYI, we're almost 6 minutes into this. But if you guys have not watched Gen V yet, please stop this and go watch it because we're gonna spoil stuff. We're gonna get into the
Definitely going to
discussion of
spoil
of,
stuff.
of, of everything. Um and this is not a show you want spoiled. Like you need to watch this. If you have not watched the show, you need to go back and watch it.
Some
Um
of the stuff that happens, you want to see that for the first time. The first time you know about this stuff, you don't want to hear it from us. You want to
yeah.
see it and then come back and say, "Yeah,
And you talk about it, it's standing on its own. I think what's so impressive about this series is like, how certain shows like they have this, I guess for lack of a better term, like aura about them. Like when you watch it, you get like a certain kind of feel, like a certain atmosphere. I feel like they were able to replicate what you feel, like you said, that intensity, that kind of almost anxiety of watching the boys. Because like every time I watch the boys, I'm like, oh my, I'm like nervous. I'm like it's like the first time you watch Game of Thrones all the way through, like you had no idea what was gonna happen. You're just like, who's gonna fucking die?
yeah,
What tomfoolery is waiting for me around the corner, right? Like I got that same kind of anxiety watching Gen V, and I feel like that's so hard to do, especially when you're just doing a spinoff and you're not really using any of the major characters from like the main franchise show. So like
yeah."
I thought they handled that in such a great way.
Yeah, I think they really stuck to landed on that. In a Granted, not a long season either, but they they I feel like they really kind of sculpted this universe within the greater the Boys universe very well. They developed the characters really well. Like I was quickly very invested
Right.
in the small group that kind of coalesced there and everything that they were involved in. Right, so they did a good job of setting the tone, setting the setting, kind of replicating the tone that you had from the boys, but giving it a fresh take with the younger generation in school, and then tying together the typical craziness that's associated with this universe.
Right,
So
right. So let me ask you a question because I know you talked about like being like very quickly invested in like the kind of core group of the show. Um I want to ask you like as we're kind of like working through the plot here. What I really liked about it was that like they they didn't make anyone kind of like binary in the sense that like, oh, this person's really good and this person's evil. Like everyone has their own motives, they're all going through their own shit, right? Which I think again is so relatable because this is a bunch of college students. It's still a bunch of kids trying to figure out how to transition into adulthood, but they have superpowers, right? So like going through the plot, like how did you feel about how they handled like the motives for the different characters like in that kind of core group? Because I don't really feel like there's anyone in there where you can be like, oh, this person is objectively wrong, this person is objectively evil, this person's objectively good. It's just like they all got their shit with them, right? And that's what makes
yeah,
it so compelling. Is like again, I was talking about how it's like I got that feeling with like Game of Thrones. It's the same kind of way with like how they write their characters, right? It's just like, okay, yeah, you might hate Jamie at the beginning, but later on in the story, you might learn to like Jamie. And there's characters like that are vice versa, right? So I felt the same way with like this show, where it was like, wow, yeah, this person's kind of a shitbag, but I mean, I, I get it. You know what I mean?
shades of gray.
Yes, Shades of Guy. There you go.
it's not black and white, but you get to see layers to the you get to see layers to the characters, right? You get to see um, like depth to their decision making, to their personalities. So it does like kind of hit the nail on the head in that regard. As like I don't even necessarily really like this character. I can't say that I hate him because I understand why they may have done what they did, right?
Hmm.
So like you get that that conflicting aspect, which I like. I like going into there and be like, I don't want it to be so cut and dry and black and white. I want there to be able to be discussion about, can you really blame them for that? And
Right.
then it just gives the characters more depth and it makes them more relatable.
Yeah. No. No. 100%. I agree with you 100%. It's kind of like what I like. The vibe I got from the show is very much just like a very very mature rated R X-Men kind of a feel, where you have like a bunch of these kids who are dealing with like these powers. They don't really know how to use them professionally yet. And they're all just kind of figuring it out as they go. And of course, you're going to have some that are going to go to one side of the aisle and some that are going to go to the other side, right? And to your point about, you not wanting it to be cut and dry, I like that feeling of like, damn, I don't really agree with this person's methods, but I totally understand how someone in their position could get to this point. It's like the Magneto and Killmonger thing, right? Talking about the X-Men. It's kind of like it's like that moment when not to make this a Black Panther podcast, but like the moment where Killmonger he's in the museum and he's and she's like, oh no, these are not for sale. It's like, you think your ancestors bought these, or did they take like they took everything else? And I was like, it's got you there, lady.
Mm,
All right,
hard to
so it's just
argue with
like
them on that point.
so it's like, when you see like Sam, for example, go through this, and obviously he's being, poisoned with like a bunch of very negative propaganda, of course. But that aside, when you look at his time in the woods, and I mean, you can't fault him for taking the position that he ends up taking in the end. Yeah, it's terrible and it's a tragedy. But I thought it was very interesting to see, like, especially when we talk about like Dean Shetty and her whole goal of like trying to eradicate soups as a whole, and Marie and what's her name? I'm blanking on her name. The Ant-Man girl, basically. You know what I'm talking
uh
about. I totally forget her name, and I can't believe I'm
I'm
forgetting her
blanking.
name. Yeah,
Emma.
but anyways, Emma. There you go. Thank you, Emma. When they're like on the other side of the aisle, like, no, we can't do this. Like, we can't. This is crazy. This is crazy. But at the same time, you're like, if Dean Shetty fulfills her goal, she's gonna kill all of us. And still, they're like, well, we can't just go around killing random humans. That's nuts, guys. Come on.
And some of them are like, is it really?
Right. So again, we talk about the X-Men parallel. It's very much like a Brotherhood of Mutants versus X-Men kind of a conflict here, where like both sides, they dare I say, they both want peace, but just in very, very, very different ways. Like, they don't want to be hunted. Neither one. We'll just say that they don't want to be
Yeah.
hunted, but one side takes a, we're just going to eradicate them, and the other side is just like, how about we just fight the bad ones, and then the good ones are cool.
Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic, and I like having that internal conflict where it's like, oh, like, are they doing the right thing? Uh, should I like this character? Um, am I wrong? Should I be agreeing with this character that I disagree
Right.
with? I like having that internal conflict where it's like,
Right.
damn, but he's got a good point. Like, I understand. I wouldn't do that, but I understand why he's doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
just gonna say, it just gives him an additional layer to the character to where it's like it helps them be more relatable, and just based off them being more relatable, I'm now more invested in the show because I feel like I can relate to these characters better.
Right. Right. And you feel like you almost have like a personal or emotional stake in it, because you are so conflicted with just like, damn, like, I get it, bro, but don't do it like that. Oh, that's bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
you feel torn, right? And I think another thing that this show does really well is they touch on a lot of things like this and the boys are not afraid to talk about the things that like the big hitters like DC and Marvel don't talk about as far as like collateral damage, right? Like what would it be like to have these kinds of superpowers? What kind of effect would that have on your body? Like we see everything that's going on with like Andre and his dad Polarity and the stress that using those magnetism powers has on their bodies. Like Andre's pretty much doomed to die young at this point, right? Or be a
Yeah.
vegetable, right? Like, and I think that's something that we don't see a whole lot in comics, in like mainstream comics. I'm talking like DC and Marvel, where it's like, okay, yeah, have these powers, but none of them have any setbacks. Of course, there's a setback to
Well,
it.
that's why I loved the introduction to how Marie got her powers.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, bro, if you could just randomly control stuff, like, and you basically just get it when you hit puberty, right? Like, there's gonna be collateral damage. Like, imagine Scott Summers the day his eyes just turn on. Hey, mom, can I have some coffee? Mom's dead.
Yeah.
Kitchen's gone.
Yep.
Right? So it's like you said, most Justice League, Marvel Avengers, they don't really, outside of like very briefly with like Sokovia Accords, they don't really touch on it like in a graphic way to where it's like, bro, there's real fucking collateral damage associated with people having these abilities.
Right.
And
With being
not
able to read minds and control people with their minds, like Kate, for example. I don't mean to cut you off, but like Kate, for example, when her it's so fucked up how like her powers manifest because she's arguing with her little brother and she tells him to run away and never come back. And he fucking does it. And he just does it. It's like you remember like on Jessica Jones, the purple man, when he told that he said, go over there and stand in the corner forever.
right? But it's a double-edged sword of being scary, where it's scary if they don't know how to control their powers, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Marie. And then, like you just mentioned with Kate, it's scary if they do know how to control their powers.
And by the way, since we're on the topic of Kate, DC and Marvel, if you guys are watching, this is how you do mind control. That whole episode where they were trapped inside her mind, I I'm amazed no one's like the heavy hitters have not done something like this. That is what a Jean Grey Professor Xavier kind of person can do to you. Where you can just be stuck and there's nothing you can do, bro. Like that is you talk about scary. Mind control has got to be one of the scariest powers someone could have if they have nefarious means. Because look what they can
Take away your
do,
autonomy.
right? They take away all your autonomy. I mean, and it drove Golden Boy literally insane to the point where he killed himself because he was remembering all this stuff in like it was starting to kind of come back to him a little bit.
And she would just wipe it every time.
Right, and she would just wipe it. Like, obviously, of course, that was gonna fuck with him.
Yo, she's a scumbag for so many reasons. But
Who, Kate? Yes, she
yeah,
is.
fuck
Yes,
Kate.
she's terrible. I think Kate might be the only one outside of like the vault people who I'm like, wow, of this group, Kate, you're a shitbag. You're a real shitbag. Again, I get it. I understand why someone like her could become who she is.
But she
Doesn't
had
mean that I
multiple
agree with it.
opportunities. She had multiple opportunities to make a different choice, and she kept making
Yeah,
that choice.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
she's a
it's just
shitbag.
it's so fucked up, especially like when you look at like the love triangle between like her and Andre and Golden Boy, and it's like it's
I got something
so
to say about that too.
all right, hold on. It's so fucked up though because this is like if you're Andre or Golden Boy, you have to question whether or not any of it was real between y'all. Which fucks you up even more because they're clearly both in love with her. And they're homies, which is just equally like it's all bad. Moral of this story is don't smash the homie and don't smash the homie's girlfriend. Just bad things can happen, guys.
Yeah. I thought I thought it was a real triangle going on because they kept telling each other they loved each other. Andre and Golden Boy.
Oh no, see, I didn't take it that way. I didn't take it that way.
There was a couple times I was like, like he talking to Golden Boy and telling him he loved him, and Kate standing right there, and it's just like, eh.
Yeah,
But
you
well,
know,
but now I know why. Probably because Kate's been wiping his brains. He's like, fuck that bitch.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, and like again, like you can understand why, like when Kate's laying there, kind of like brain dead, and I'm just like, yeah, fuck this. She did this. It's like I get it, I get it, but I think it just goes back to we're talking about some of the people who are way more good than bad. You talk about like Marie, uh, that her moral compass stays constant throughout, even when I feel like she's being bribed with all this promises of like being invited to the seven and Vault really like propping
Rank
her up
number
and all this other kind of
one.
stuff. Yeah, and all this other kind of stuff. I do think that she still finds the I guess the moral strength, if you will, to continue doing the right thing. Where, like you just said, Kate does it, right? And it's so fucked up and terrifying for these kids too, because Vault is this, multinational, super powerful superhero run now because Homelander's the man company that controls literally everything. So it's just like you can't fight them, right? Like it's terrifying because like all these people I feel like who would otherwise be decent people get stuck in this like vault power bubble that they can't get out of. I mean, even when Andre went to his dad Polarity and his dad is just like, yo, who have you told about this? Don't mention another fucking word. You're gonna get yourself killed. And it's just like, what are you supposed to do? So like again, going to I don't agree with the methods, but I understand when those kids in the woods break out, you, you're not going to Congress and solving this.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. If I'm a kid in the woods, right, there's nothing you're gonna do to stop me from killing every guard downstairs,
Yeah. Like they're all
right?
gonna get
Like,
mopped up. And they did
and they did with the quickness, no
with
less.
the quickness. Yeah.
Um, but it's like, bro, the shit they were subjected to, experiments, injecting them with viruses, torture. You seen the schlop that they were just feeding these niggas, right? It's like, bro, like you basically driving these people to the point of insanity and or death, and expect them to not want any retribution when they get the opportunity, and that's just stupid.
Yeah, I mean I'm with you. I agree 100%. And like it was, since we're already on the topic, like the massacre at the end of the at the end of the season, when the guy, one of the kids is coming out of the woods and he's like, he sees sunlight for the first time in which you can only imagine years, right? And he's like, "Hey, who are you here?" He's like, "Are you a soup?" "No, I'm a professor for whatever, whatever." And he just burns her face off. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude. It's just like anyone who's not a soup is getting mopped up right now.
Yeah, it's up.
I was just like, damn.
Like he's probably been thinking every day nonstop.
If I ever get out of here, if I ever get out of here, it's a wrap for
It's a
all of
wrap.
y'all.
And then every just gruesome thought he had about maiming someone as revenge, he was able to take it out the first person he saw. Oh, it's up. Next person, are you a soup? You're a soup? You're cool. Get the fuck out of here. Are you a soup? No? Wrong answer.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, but before we go into like how this ties into the boys, because I do want to get into that, I want to talk about the last couple of scenes. So, obviously, we got to talk about Homelander's cameo, and for people out there who don't understand like how to shoot what we were talking about before, intensity and anxiety, Homelander, like music aside, when they do like the traditional superhero theme, and then it kind of like warps. Dude, every time he's on screen, and you could feel it, like this is an all out riot massacre going on campus, and as soon as they see Homelander in the air, everything fucking stops.
Yeah.
Everything stops. Guys, this is how it should be when Superman comes on the scene and he's angry. This is how it should feel. Because when he shows up, I mean, people are getting killed. It's like kill or be killed, and everyone just stops and watches him descend. And it's so terrifying because like Anthony Starr, the guy who plays Homelander, he brings it every single time. Like when Marie's like, "Hey, sir," and he's like, mm-mm, mm-mm. I'm
Yeah.
just like, "Oh my god!" I'm just like,
It's
"Oh my
terrifying.
god! Oh my god!"
It's like Genghis Khan showing up in an Iron Man suit,
Yeah, it's just
right?
like,
It's
"Oh my
just,
god!"
oh my
Well,
god.
fucks.
I know what his mental's like,
Yeah,
which is scary enough by itself, like without the powers.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he shows up, and I was immediately just sick to my stomach.
Yeah, because I was just like, oh well, this is how it's gonna end. They're all
I was
gonna
like,
fucking
listen,
die.
nothing ever goes good in this series anyway. But when he shows up, it's 100% about to go to straight to hell.
Yeah, it's terrifying, man, and I both hate and love the way it makes me feel because that's how I know like I'm watching a good show is when I have these kinds of emotions. It's like again, man, like a Game of Thrones villain or like the Joker, and it's just like, oh my god, the day was already bad enough. What are you? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? But I mean, he just comes there and he shuts shit down. Like it was a riot until it wasn't. It was a party until it wasn't. Homelander comes, he shuts shit down. I thought I thought Marie was a goner. I really did. I thought it was a dub for her, and I was just like, of course, we can't have anything halfway decent in this fucking show. We get Billy Butcher's the best thing you're gonna get to a fucking good guy in the show. That's how I felt when he like lasers her. But what were your thoughts about like the scene afterwards? Like are they like
Um,
stuck in like Kate's mind again? Are they stuck in like some kind of mental purgatory?
so that's one of the things that pissed me off about the ending. Was like, where the fuck are these niggas at, right? But immediately Homelander shows up. I get sick to my stomach. I see him laser her, and the first words out of my mouth are, "What the fuck, bro? Why am I watching this?" All right, it felt like I just watched a Red Wedding. It's like, bro, why y'all niggas do this? You spent the
Why
whole
y'all keep
season.
doing this to me?
You spent the whole season building these people up, getting me attached, showing me their backstories, and then you just murder them all. I see the little news thing running. I'm like, what the fuck? Not
It's
only
all
you done
bad.
killed them off, you then put the other two, Kate and Sam, of all people, as the new guardians of Godolkin, right? And then they're in a fucking enclosed white box somewhere. I think they're in the new woods,
Mm.
and they just built up somewhere and was like, nah, these niggas are not getting out.
So I think it's either another version of the woods, but I don't think that they would put them all in the same room. That's the only reason
Hmm.
why I think they might be in some kind of like mental purgatory, like wherever. Remember how they were all together when they were inside Kate's mind?
Yeah.
I think it might be something like that. I mean, we'll see in season two or the next boys season if they touch on it. I doubt they'll touch on them, but um yeah, I mean, obviously the big other kind of cliffhanger here is that virus that Dean Shetty was manufacturing. Um, so I don't know much about the comics of the boys, but I know that this was a big thing in the comics where Butcher was trying to get his hands on that virus to kill all soups.
And we
Um,
did see Butcher at the end.
right, and we did see Butcher at the end. Now, Victoria Newman has all the data for the virus. I'm trying to figure out what her real motive is because I'm so confused with her sometimes. If Since she's a soup, if she doesn't want that virus to get out, you would think that she would just destroy it. But that I didn't get that vibe from
Well,
her after
no,
she killed the doctor.
I have a theory on that, right? If she's got ties to Vought, maybe they want it. They want to use it because niggas like Homelander and them niggas that let Compound V get out wipe the slate clean, and
Yeah.
then start over fresh, raise the price. You got to come to us for the new Compound V 2.0, which niggas are immune to
But
that virus.
and it's also like it's a good insurance policy too, right? For Vault to have that, right? Because it's like, all right, if someone like a Homelander gets out of line, you can put him down,
Yep.
which I think that makes a lot of
Might be
sense.
what they might try to do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I mean, you can't. There's no negotiating with Homelander. He can do whatever he wants. He can do literally whatever he wants. And there's no one here to stop him.
I got a random question, but
Okay,
um, because Homelander, he really is out here just like doing whatever the fuck he wants, but he also couldn't like stop a plane, right?
true.
Which means that like Omni Man would beat shit down his leg. Plus,
Yeah,
Omni Man actually knows how to fight. He's not just Homelander, just super
yeah.
strong and just you know what I'm
I
saying?
would take that bet as well too. Only because too, like I feel like as strong as Homelander is, he is a little nerfed down to where he's very like Earth based. Like Omni Man and Superman, they fly into space all the time and like do whatever they want, right? Like
Yeah,
Omni Man would have no issues like slowing that plane down.
yeah. He'd
But
probably throw the plane back at Homelander.
yeah, yeah. Like they also though on in that scene though they also touch on that on that a little bit about Homelander saying like no I can't just lift it up from the bottom, I'll fly right through the plane. Like he's too strong. Like if he flew with
Strong.
enough
Yeah,
force to stop it, he'd end up
yeah,
just flying through it.
yeah,
So I get that, but that to your point, it tells me that maybe he's not as strong as like an Omni Man or a Superman who could just maybe fly behind it, grab it, and then just like hold it up slowly.
yeah.
Or I don't know. We're getting into like some
We're, sorry, I'm getting
yeah,
into the woods, but
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
the woods.
Don't do that. But yeah, no, I mean, overall, man, Gen V, such a pleasant surprise. I'm so glad that a show like this exists. I don't feel like there's another show like it outside of like The Boys, obviously. Um, I hope they do a season 2. I'm so looking forward to season 4 of The Boys now, because I want to see where Butcher goes with this whole virus thing. Plus,
Yeah,
I, I miss Butcher and his crew, man. I miss the banter. I miss Butcher calling everyone a cunt. It's just I'm
it's
ready
needed.
for it. It's needed. I need it back. I need it back. But you got any more thoughts before we get out of here?
Big fan of Gen V. Wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, but definitely looking forward to follow up seasons. Should they should they go ahead and take that step? I will be locked in day one.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there. Whenever y'all announce it, I'm just know that I'm there. Know that you have at least one customer here for me.
Yeah, I'm
But
locked
yeah,
in.
guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below. Let us know what you guys thought about Gen V and your theories about how it ended and where we'll be in season 4 of The Boys. But Cardell, it's a pleasure. I've been Prince. You guys are awesome, and we'll see y'all next time.
Later.